I've gone through so many different variations of like how to post. Like, should I post every day? Should I post 3 times a day? Should I post 2 times a day?
That is Nathan Payne. He's an absolute beast when it comes to creating content that brings in leads. He has well over 10,000 subscribers on YouTube, 85,000 followers on Instagram, and more than 5,000 members in his Facebook group. And you may be thinking, well, he's probably been doing this for over 10 years. He's an expert. But guess what? He's only been going heavy into content creating for 2 years. And today, he's giving us his process on creating content that grabs people's attention. He's tested a lot of different things, and he's still testing. Why? Because social media is constantly changing. It's sometimes hard to tell what made a video go viral or what turned that viewer into a customer. It's not always a simple equation, but he's giving us some tips on how to create better content, what he did in videos that got well beyond average views, and ways to stand out from the crowd. So if you're ready to step up your content game, get ready for this episode with Nathan Payne. This is Utah Hustlers, a podcast on how to build your business to $10,000 a month. My name is Skylar Beintendorp. I'm an entrepreneur just like you, and it is my mission to help you turn your business into a thriving, money-making machine.
My name's Nathan Payne. What I do is I'm in real estate. I help people get their first or next deal. In real estate, that's kind of like what I focus on. In a nutshell, real estate investor, and I call it the painless way because my last name's Payne. So I teach people painless flipping so they don't have to experience all the pain of trying to figure out themselves. I started about 5.5 years ago. I started with literally zero experience. I had no idea what I was doing. Didn't know anything about real estate, but that's when I started.
How did you make your first 10K a month?
It took, I think, 2 or 3 months to get my first deal. And it was a $5,000 deal. Found it from calling somebody on the expired listings list, someone who had listed their home for sale and it didn't sell. So that was $5K. So that's not, to answer your question, it's not $10K, but I think it was another 2 months that we made like $38K in 1 month. So to answer your question, especially when we were first starting, it's not always like 10K, or 5K. It's like 38K, 0, 15, 5, like it just depends. It fluctuates. So it took about 5 months.
You create a lot of content. You have 85,000 followers on Instagram specifically. That's
right.
One platform. So did you start creating content around that same time, or when did you start doing that?
So I started going heavy into content like 2 years ago. So when I first started, it was like sole focus was real estate. Let me like get deals. Like I'm not even thinking about content, right?
Yeah.
And then I was like, man, through trying to understand how to wholesale, how to like do deals better, how to be a better real estate investor, I got tons of coaching, tons of mentors. That's why I got into content, is because like I saw how much coaching I needed and how much I didn't really like a lot of the coaches and the mentorships that I paid for and how I would do it better. So that's when I started it. And I was like, well, how am I going to get people to work with? Well, I got to go into content. It all just came from my struggle and then figuring that I could probably build something better.
So who should be creating content in order to build their business?
Well, I think everybody should, right? Like I've actually gotten quite a few real estate deals from just letting people know what I do. And then I've had family members or people that I know that are like, hey, can you help me sell this deal? Or, I might have something. So I mainly got into it again to build my coaching company.
At what point does posting on social media become profitable?
It depends on what type of product you sell, right? Like for real estate, for example, or coaching, like if I post a couple times and can get a deal, or if I can get a client, like someone wants to join my program, my program ranges from anywhere from like 1,000 to 10,000, right? So if you post a couple times and you get someone, then like, yeah, you just became profitable off of just like a couple posts. But it depends. Like if you're selling like tiny products, like low ticket, then it might take a long time to be profitable, right? So I guess it depends on what you sell.
How do we measure how effective content is?
So that's very interesting too. I would say like engagement, like how many people will actually watch it. And that's tough too, because like a lot of the time someone will work really hard on a video and then they'll be like, man, this is going to kill it. And I've done that too. I've made videos and I've spent a lot of time and then no one watches it. And I'm like, what the heck? Sometimes I feel like the algorithm, like it's out to get me. Sometimes I'm like, man, it's favoring this guy. I don't know why, but not me. So yeah, it's hard to say like what makes it good other than engagement and people watching it. I don't know if you felt like that where you're like, dude, I don't know what, this video is great. I don't know why it's not getting more traction.
I think it changes from year to year, honestly, like what content works and what doesn't work. Cause like, I remember I had a couple videos last year that weren't that good, but they hit like 20,000 views, right? So like not huge, but my other videos were getting like a couple hundred, maybe 1,000.
Yeah.
But I think you got to look at what other people are doing and what's working and then copy that. Cause I've noticed a lot of videos that are going viral, people aren't even talking in their videos.
Yeah.
They're really just sitting, doing whatever they're doing. And they have a caption like, here's how I made 10 grand a month. And then you'll just be watching for a second, waiting for them to say it. And then it's like, go check the description.
Yeah.
And then down in the description, it shows like this little 10-step checklist of what they did to make their first 10 grand a month. And that keeps them on the video longer. So their reel gets like 10 views from just one person. That's just something I've noticed recently. So I'm going to start testing that. But I think a lot of it's testing and seeing what's working.
It's completely testing. Cause I'm in a lot of different masterminds, right? Like with people that are building coaching businesses. And a lot of them will post kind of like the same kind of stuff, right? So I'll talk to someone and be like, dude, I've been posting literally the same videos. Like I just cut them up into 7 parts, right? And he's like, I just cut them up and like one of them, part 5, which is just like random, hit big. I'm like, but it doesn't make sense. Like no one would just watch part 5 and not 1 through 4 and not watch, it's just random that it hit it. So the people that are doing consistently, they can keep people engaged. They have like tons of cuts and edits that are like tons of B-rolls, like keeping people engaged. I was telling you a little bit earlier about like Hermosi's video. That's literally like every second, it's like a different view. It's like a different,
very stimulating.
Oh man, it's honestly like hurts your head sometimes. You're like, man, I'm like watching a ton of different angles, tons of stuff and graphics. So that's what I'm seeing now. Like when I'm really looking into it, is like just the different edits and the cuts. It's like, it's changing.
Oh, absolutely. So when our goal is to generate leads through our content, where do we start in creating that content? Like what's the first things we should think about? Like I'm going to go out and create content and hopefully gain some business from this.
I would just say like you have to provide value. If someone's going to watch it, they got to like feel like it was worth their time, right? Because like I think you even said like you don't have social media on your phone, right? Because it can really suck you in.
Right.
So I think if you're going to have someone watch a video of yours and it's not going to provide any value to them, they're not going to continue to watch it, or they're not going to like continue to like follow you, I guess. So
what's the definition of value? Is it just like entertainment value? Is it like tips on how to do something specific?
It usually like trickles down or breaks down to like you have entertainment or you have education, right? So are people going to get educated, or are they going to just laugh or have fun? Like I think TikTok a lot was like more of the entertainment, and now a lot of it's going to more education. So it depends on the user that's watching it, but you'd have to know beforehand making the content if it's going to be, is this going to be fun? Are we going to make something like really entertaining, or is it going to be something that's educational?
Have you heard the word edutainment?
I have not heard that, but I'm sure that's the thing.
You create content that's entertaining, but also educational. And that's like taking, the two pieces in one. Because for some people, they're going to want to just create awareness, which I think is a lot what real estate agents are doing. Like I saw you in a house and you had flushed the toilet and it had like overflowed or something like that.
Bad idea.
You took a pair of pants.
Yeah.
And wiped the floor with it.
That's all I could find in the house. It was like we went in the basement and I was looking for towels and everything, but it was being flipped. So there was like nothing in there except like a pair of pants that the seller had probably left, and had to do what I had to do to clean up that water,
Right. So why did you record that and put it on social media?
That's a good question. I think that's like what people usually don't see, right? They usually see like the person behind the camera talking about like, hey, I just made this much money, or, do this and do that. But they don't really see like the realness of like, hey, I just had to use the restroom real quick and it started flooding. This sucks, right? So I just thought it'd be funny to show like the real. That's like what I'm trying to do more in my content too, is like who I really am, because it is kind of difficult to show your personality in like these floating head videos where you're just like trying to educate or tell someone to do something. Yeah. But the like authenticity, like who I really am, comes out in that weird stuff, like where I had to clean the floor.
Yeah. So it sounds like you're just being the content. Like you're just doing your work, doing what you got to do, but you have someone like, hey, record this, or, just someone there with the camera. Do you have like a cameraman hired?
The person that that films is a member of my program.
Okay.
So I was just like, hey, let's do a trade. I can mentor you and you can film me every week and make the content. So she's like, okay, cool. So,
because a lot of people won't have the money, especially these people that are working to 10 grand a month, they won't have the money to go hire like a cameraman, but you can do a little trade there.
I would say do a trade, right? So if you do a service, like for example, you do podcasts, right? So you could just say, hey, follow me around filming my podcast, right? Or doing what, your business, and you could do a trade with them. You're like, hey, I'll run your podcast for you like once a month if you film me.
I like that. Do you ever just set up like a tripod when you don't have someone there?
Before I was working with the member of my program, I just turned the camera around. I never really did tripods just because I never thought about it. So it was always just like, filming myself talking.
Are there any like little tips or tricks that you found like that makes your content more engaging and gets more views?
One thing I'm starting to do now is make more edits like every second or every 2 seconds, is try to make like use B-rolls or like edits to make it more engaging. Before it was just like me just talking to the camera, which I've realized that that's like flooding the market, right? It's flooding like everybody's feeds. So that's not as entertaining, but the people that are setting themselves apart are willing to do like those extra edits. So for me, it's doing that. I just honestly talked to my content creators, my editor yesterday, like, hey, we really got to make these edits better and quicker because that's what's keeping these people engaged. Because I look at the analytics on like TikTok and Facebook and all this stuff, and you can see that the engagement drops off on like pretty much most videos, like after like 2 or 3 seconds. So to answer your question, making more edits to get people's attention, which is kind of unfortunate, right? That people can't focus for more than like a couple seconds.
Right. TikTok and Reels and Shorts are killing our attention spans.
Yeah.
And it sucks. But what also sucks is it's the reality. Like that's what people are watching. That's what sucks people in. Like,
right.
It's addictive and I don't like that part about it. But if you want to market your business, like you got to do what's working, and that works for a lot of people.
Yeah, it does.
You mentioned that first like 1-2 seconds, that's where people drop off.
Yeah.
So you have to have a good hook.
The hook, right?
Right. So how does someone create a good hook?
What I've been using recently is Chat GPT. I'll go in there and I'll come in with an idea. I'll say, hey, these are a couple ideas I have for hook. Give me 10, 20 different ideas on like different hooks or things I can use. Yeah. So that's what I've been using because I can come up with what I think is a good hook, but I use AI to help me brainstorm.
AI has exploded this year.
Yeah. And a lot of people aren't utilizing it, right? Like I think it like was really big when it first came out. I was like, what's going on? And I've even forgot about it. I've been like, oh, that's crazy. And then, I've been like not used it as much, but now I think utilizing it is huge. So people definitely should use it for copywriting.
Yeah. Do you have any tips for business owners to stand out on social media?
You got to be your authentic self, right? There's too many videos that I see now that are like floating talking heads where it's just like someone talking to the camera and it's like really boring, or it's not entertaining, or you can just tell that they're reading it. Like you just got to be yourself. And for me, it's hard to do that too, because after I film a couple things, like I even get like, tired or lethargic, but you really got to, be yourself, be authentic, and be energetic, right? You got to get people's attention.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think the only way to be like build that authentic self or the confidence to just be who you are is just to do it.
Yeah.
Right. How many pieces of content have you uploaded? Because you got to do a lot in order to get good at it, right?
Dude, so tons and tons. So I think my YouTube channel has like over 1,400 videos. Yeah. So that's just YouTube, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of that is because we used to do long form like podcasts, and then we'd split those up into multiple videos with different hooks, different like, reasons why people should watch it. And, that's why there's a ton, but I've shot a lot.
Yeah. Because that's what you have to do with creating content is you got to create a lot of content, right? Every single day.
Yeah. It's crazy. I started going heavy into it like a year and a half, and it's just, it can almost be like a full-time thing. It can consume like your thoughts. Like you'll make a video and you'll be like, hey, I think this is going to kill it. And it doesn't. So you sit there, you're like, why not? Why didn't it do like better? Right. So you're always trying to improve.
Yeah. Do you have a routine for how you post your content and like what goes on your stories, what you post like certain days of the week?
I've gone through so many different variations of like how to post. Like, should I post every day? Should I post 3 times a day? Should I post 2 times a day? Because you hear all the different people that say like you got to be consistent and do this and this and this. Like what I found is you just got to be consistently at least doing it once a day. This is another thing. I know I'm throwing a lot of contradictions out here because it's not easy to know like what perfectly works, but I'll give you this. So on YouTube, I was posting a video every day, 5 days a week, like being consistent for like a year and a half. And then I watched like, the Mr. Beast and all these guys that produce like 1 video a month or 1 video a week, right? I'm going every day. And they say that like, hey, it doesn't really matter the amount you do. It's all about quality. It's not quantity, it's quality. So like if you post 1 video, but it's really good and people watch it, then you don't need to be posting every day. So it's interesting because in the beginning, like you might have something really good, but just not enough people to watch it in the beginning because your audience is pretty small. So I would say to get started, be consistent doing it very often. And as you get better, maybe as your budget gets better and you can produce better content, then you can go less. You can post like once a week, once a month, because then people follow you and they want to see your stuff.
Yeah. So start out posting regularly, get the reps in, get good at it.
Hmm.
And then eventually, like, because it is a full-time job, you
Yeah.
know, because I post all my content and I'm not even doing as much as I want to. And it's already like it consumes my thoughts and a lot of my time.
I'm telling you.
Yeah. But eventually you want to focus more on the quality.
Yeah, it's all
'Cause,
about
like,
quality.
and because like it hurts my head, but like I see some of my friends that are wanting to be content creators and creating content, and I'll post one video and it'll get maybe like let's say 1,000 views, but I put a little more time and effort into that and like make it look good, sound good, and whatever I did to get 1,000 views, right? That's just for easy numbers. But then I'll see my other friend, he'll post more often, but he gets like 20 views,
Yeah.
2 views. If you just spend a little more time with the quality, you can post less often and reach 10 times the amount of people.
It's agreed. So like I read this book. I don't know if you've ever heard of the book called Who Not How, or it's by Dr. Benjamin Hardy, but it's Who Not How. They did The Gap and the Gain. Yeah. So the reason I'm bringing this up in case maybe you read any of them, but 10x is easier than 2x is the book that I'm talking about that I just read. It says that doing quality over quantity is actually like the goal. That's what you should strive for. So he talks about 10xing something is easier than 2xing something. Like if you're going to post every day, that's 2x, right? You're doing like a ton of little things. But if you 10x it, and if you post like one really, really good, well-produced video, you're 10xing it, and you're going to get 10x the results. So that's basically what the book talks about. It's like quality is the key. It's not quantity. The quantity, like you said, I think we were talking before we got on here, wasn't it like 15? How many videos get posted on Instagram a day?
It was 12 million. Like 12 million reels get posted on Instagram every single day.
And that's, I would say probably like 99% of those are just like trash. Like the quality is probably not that good. The quantity is huge, right? But the quality is the key. It's what's gonna set you apart in the content game.
Yeah, and I may even be getting that number wrong. It could have been 120 million. I can't. Now I'm like
Worldwide, I'm
myself.
sure it's nuts.
Yeah, and there's more social media platforms now too. So people are spending their time in different places.
Yeah.
So there's more content and there's less demand for it on one platform because people are in multiple places. I'm sure a lot of people are wondering is like, okay, what does this have to do with generating leads? Well, the more we post, the more that we get content out there, the more that we're on top of people's minds.
Exactly.
And then the more they're going to be like, okay, wait, I want to learn more about what this guy does. The more people that know you exist, the more people are going to buy your product or service because they can actually think of who to get it from when they need it. We talked about this a little bit, but how do you stand out on social media so that way, you know, you're not just falling into the crowd of everyone else?
I've thought about this a lot because there's a lot of creators out there that are trying to push their platforms or their programs. So I was like, man, how can I stand out? And my thing is like, with my business, I can talk and educate you and tell you what to do, or I can show you and educate you, but show you how to do it. So that's something I've been doing that kind of sets myself apart. Like, for example, if someone wants to talk about cold calling, for example, or knocking doors, they can say, hey, when you knock a door, you would say this, right? And they're just the floating head. They're just talking. But for me, it's like, hey, watch me do this. Like, this is what you do. Let me put my money where my mouth is and let me do it. So whatever I try to tell people to do, I show them how to do it. So it's not like I'm just talking about something that worked like 5 years ago, 2 years ago. I'm like, hey, I'm doing this now and I'm showing you how to do it. So that's how I've tried to set myself apart. Now there's a lot more people doing that. So now it's like, it's gotta be entertaining too. So it's gotta be fun. So, and if I'm having fun, I think people can resonate with that and they'll be like, oh, okay, this guy's having fun. I can have fun too. Or he likes what he does. I think that can help you too. So doing what you say, I think that helps. And not only doing what you say, but, trying to have fun, be entertaining.
Yeah, because I see a lot of videos of people saying like, you should do this, you should go do that.
I hate those videos.
Yeah, people don't want to be told what to do.
Yeah.
But something that I've seen, like especially with Alex Hormozi, is he always says, what I did was this, and it gave me this result. Or he'll post a video of him like actually like coaching someone or like creating content or doing something, but it's like him actually doing it, not telling people to do it.
I'll give you an example like what I did. I've been teaching people how to do painless flipping. That's how to do deals with $0, right? So I'm telling people how to do it, how it worked for me. And I wouldn't say it's not getting the traction I want, but I want people not just for me to tell them, I want to show them, right? So I did a 30-day challenge a couple months ago where I'm like, hey guys, I'm going to go to a brand new market. I'm going to go to Atlanta, Georgia. I'm going to go with $0 and I'm, going to get a deal in 30 days. And one of my employees too, that I work with, one of my partners, he did it in Florida. So we both went using my strategy to 2 different markets and filmed ourselves for 30 days live, doing it for like an hour, 2 hours a day. And we both got deals in 30 days with spending $0. I got a $5,000 deal and 10% equity ownership in a Airbnb in Fort Myers, didn't spend any money. And he did a $20,000 deal. So mine was in Fort Myers because I found it like through networking, even though I was in Atlanta. But anyway, So that I think is better content than just talking about it. I showed everyone that it's real and legit. So I think that's important. You got to show people you're not just a phony.
Right. I agree. I think people want to, see more things actually happening than hearing another
than
person talking, right?
Like, I'll give you an example. Like I don't like watching social media like at all. Like same thing with you. You can get sucked in and it'll take you. You'll look up and you're like, "Wow, dude, where did an hour go?" Right? I don't even look at my phone until like later in the day because it can suck you in too in the mornings when I wake up. But one of the videos that I like watching are like people on the streets talking to people. Like, or I think there's like this guy that's I think it's staged, but he like goes up to people and he's like, "Hey, you want a piece of this?" And the guy's like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "A piece of chicken. Chill out." And those are funny because he's like actually out there, and it's like that reaction wasn't, maybe it was staged, but it's like funny. It's cool to see that. Now, if he was just sitting there talking to someone else on the street, someone tried to beat him up, to me, that's not as entertaining always as like, let me watch it. So what I try to do with my film person, I don't even know what to call him, but I'm like, hey, let's go do some stuff and you can film me. And that's why you asked me about like the cleaning the pants. Like she just is recording me working and doing stuff in the field. And that might be more entertaining than just talking about like just random, like, hey, go make some calls today.
I think what it comes down to is people want something that's like unpredictable and very real. You know, so that's why I think those videos where they just go up to a random person and ask them a question, or like doing the door-to-door sale right then and there and they're videoing it, like they don't know what's going to happen. So I think it keeps them in there.
Yes, dude. Thank you.
And so their content does a lot better because it's like, oh crap, what's going to happen? Like they have to find out. It's kind of like an itch that they have to scratch because they don't know what's going to happen.
You nailed it. You nailed it. That's exactly what it is, right? It's because it's unpredictable. But like if someone's in a studio, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? Is it going to get that exciting? Could it get that bad? Right? Because people want to either be entertained or they want like to get offended, right? They want to be like, oh, I hate this. Like, I think there's like an emotional scale of like they want to either be happy or they want to be mad. And those are the two things that will get them to engage, right? They want like to feel good or they want to like feel bad, which is weird, but that's just how it is. On my TikTok, I can look at the videos that have gone viral, that like 100,000, 30,000, whatever. And they're just like the random ones where I'm like out in the field. Like there was this Amazon guy that came to my house, right? He was delivering a package and I was walking my dog. So I was like, oh, let me talk to him because I can ask him if he's seen any properties that look distressed that I can go and call and see if they want to sell. Because that's what we do, right? So I just went up to him and I filmed it, right? And I was just like, hey man, my name's Nate. Have you seen any houses that look distressed? And we were just talking and that blew up. People think that's so interesting that I was talking to the Amazon guy, right? Because nobody really does that in our industry. They're like, let me go network with the Amazon driver guy. And then I did with a mailman. I was like, let me talk to the mailman. So I recorded that, asked him if he's seen anything. And he's like, yeah, I have. That did well. And then I did a couple ones where it's just talking head. Hey, this is what you got to do. And boop, and I went down. So it's the unpredictability. Like people want to see that. And I understand because I'm the same way, man. I want to see what happens. Like another one, I was at the mall, right? And a cop kicked me out because he was like, you can't record videos here at the mall. And my film person recorded me getting kicked out by the mall cop, and that did really well as well. That has nothing to do with real estate, but people think it's entertaining. And I think it's kind of funny. I got kicked out by a mall cop, right?
Yeah.
So that's what people want to see. And you nailed it on the head. Like, why?
Because then someone's going to see you get kicked out by the mall cop, and then they're going to be like, who is this guy? And then they click on the profile and they can see, oh, this is what they do for business. This is what they sell. So for everyone that has like a product or service they're trying to sell, like it sounds like you don't want to just post what you do, how you do it better, how you can help people, but like videos that are unpredictable, because the more that you can get people to watch your stuff and to follow you, they're gonna then wonder what you do, and eventually it'll turn into a lead, you know, because a lead is just someone you can contact, right? So if they start following you, you could reach out to them, right? And say, hey, how's it going? Thanks for the follow. Do you ever message people that follow you on social media?
I used to do this in my Facebook group. When people would join the Facebook group, we'd have like a little web form. We'd be like, hey, you know, answer 1, 2, 3 questions. And then when they would join, we would say, hey, welcome to the Facebook group about real estate investing. Do you need any help with anything? Are you struggling with anything in real estate? And then we would reach out and do that. But I stopped doing that just because it's a lot of work to like contact everyone that joins your group. But yes, you can do that. A lot of people do message people that join specific groups. I don't know if it would work so much for like people following you on Instagram or TikTok or any of that stuff, because it might be a lot. But if it's a group or a Discord or something that they're going specifically to enter into your domain or your group, it can make sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So will you tell us your process on creating content? Like what, you know, start idea to posted?
I'll just tell you guys, like, it's changed over time. It's always changing because I'm always trying to improve. So my process used to be shoot a long form content like this, like shoot a podcast and then find the interesting things in that podcast and cut them up. And that's how I flooded YouTube with so much stuff, because I was like, oh, I can just cut this up and post it everywhere. So that was what I used to do. Now it's like, okay, I have to come up with a story. I have to come up with a hook, foreshadow like why they should watch till the end, like what they're going to get, the content behind it, and then the end and the call to action. So I have to outline all those things before I make the content. So it's gone from just like, let me just randomly talk about something or have someone film me doing something, to now it's like there's actually purpose behind it. And it's interesting like how much it's evolving, like in order to keep people's attention. Like there's a lot of YouTube channels that are like almost like TV production style. Like they're like that good that it's like, dude, this could be a TV show. So that's my process right now, is like you script out what you're going to say, what the hook is, what you're going to do. You go film it, and then you edit it, and then you post it.
Right on. Do we need fancy equipment, or can we just use our smartphone to create content? Because I see some people out there with the big cameras, the gimbals, the microphones and everything. Then other people are just doing the smartphone.
Yeah. Audio is the most important thing when making content. Like if it doesn't sound good, people are out, and like they don't even want to hear it. So I would say if you're going to do anything, make your audio sound really, really good. The way phones are now, like if you have an iPhone, like 13 or anything, like whatever phones are new, like the cameras are excellent. So I think if you're going to make like Reels or TikToks, they're fine on your phone, but make sure your audio is good. And if you're going to make YouTube videos, because with Reels and Shorts, like you have to turn them sideways, right? So if you're going to make a YouTube video, I think you would use one of those nicer cameras for it. But a lot of the YouTubers that like do really well just use phones.
Do you have a microphone that you clip on yourself that hooks into the phone?
Yeah. So I have a lapel mic, and my film person, I don't even know what to call it, but yes, my filmer, we actually have it a recording, and then she just meshes up the recording with the audio that's been recorded on me. So I don't have something that goes to the phone. We used to do just like me talking, and the phone would be the thing that would receive the audio, and it didn't sound very good. So then now we do the lapel to the mesh it up.
Yeah, and it probably looks better because I feel like those microphones are a little more hidden than the others. So
agreed.
Do you have any other tips for hustlers that are out there that are just, running solo right now? Like their whole operation is solo, but they have to create content. Like any tips for them to make it easier?
I would say dedicate like one day, maybe one day a week, one day a month, or a couple days a month to making content. You don't want to be like distracted, especially if you're trying to run a business, to like, oh, this would be good to film. Like, it's going to be really difficult if like your mind is on making content the whole time while you're trying to run your business. So I would say designate or pick a specific time to do it, and focus on doing it then. And then after that, like a specific time to post it. That will help you be able to manage it. It takes a lot of time, right? It takes a lot of time to film, to edit, and then to post. So if you just do it every day, it could consume like a lot of the time that you could be spending on building your business.
Right. So batch create content.
That's what I do. Like one day a week, I film, and then again, I give it to I have an editor as well, so that not everybody will have that. But if it was just me posting and doing it, it would be, hey, I'm going to film one time a week, and then I'm going to post in the morning or at a specific time every day.
And are there any common mistakes you see people making right now when creating content and building, their personal brand or their business brand?
Well, something I did in the beginning is the messaging. What I was putting out there was like so random, because my brain's all over the place. Like I had a YouTube channel, so I was like, I want to make stuff that's fun. So I was like, I like making pico de gallo, and I just got some cherry tomatoes from my garden. I'm gonna make a video of pico de gallo, right? So I did that, and I put it on my channel. So it's like, great, you make pico de gallo. You have a cooking channel? Like, no, I just wanted to make pico de gallo, but that's random, right? And then maybe I was like, I like Costco a lot, so I'm like, let me go to Costco. So the messaging to everyone that's watching me is like, okay, this guy is like, what is he doing? Like, is he trying to sell me real estate? Is he trying to teach me real estate? Is he trying to teach me how to cook? Is he trying to just go to Costco and entertain me? So I've struggled with that. I would say keep whatever messaging you put out there, like try to be consistent with like what you're putting out, and don't like confuse people, because eventually they'll stop watching if they have no idea what your purpose and why they should watch you.
You just got to keep it relevant is what it sounds like.
Yeah, because I'm going to stop watching someone if I never really know what I'm going to get from their videos, unless they're like a comedian and I just want to laugh all the time. But most people's stuff isn't that funny.
Yeah.
Right.
So what about like a call to action? Do you put call to actions on your videos or on your stories or anything?
That's something I've struggled with. I've struggled like throughout making content for for like the last year and a half is like always asking people to do something. But now as I've been studying it a lot more, they always say you want to tell people your seed language, like what benefit you have to your business or how you can benefit others. And at the end, your call to action, right? So like for mine, it's like, hey, at Investor Thrive, we show new investors and wholesalers how to get their first or next deal without heavy marketing spend. So that's something I'm saying in all my videos. So from now on, so people know what I'm doing. And then I say, hey, follow me for more information, or head over to my Facebook group for more information. That's the call to action. So those are things I should have been doing all along, right? So people just ingrained every time they watch my stuff, they're like, oh, that's what Nate does. That's what Nate does. But I haven't been good at it. So should you do it? Yes, you should. You should always be sending someone somewhere. I read a quote this morning. It said, if you want something, just ask. That's how you do it.
Right.
So if you want people to follow you, just ask them. Like if you want more clients, just ask people. No one's can read your mind. So you got to ask people what to do. Like,
so simple, but
do.
like most people aren't going to ask. Like people are afraid to ask for what they want a lot of times. What I found.
Yeah, of course. And for me, the reason why I didn't do it is just neglect. I just didn't think about it. But now I'm like, oh, okay, that's pretty simple. I can ask. So yeah, that's definitely want to ask people to follow you with the call to action or whatever you want them to do.
And so this is a great lead into this, but if people want to follow you or contact you, how do they do that?
I would say check out my YouTube channel. That's be good because I put out all my content on that. That's entertaining. Hopefully, you can comment if you don't think it's entertaining because I like feedback. But my YouTube channel and I have a Facebook group. It's Painless Flipping. Just go to Facebook and type Painless Flipping. Those are the two places where if you want to contact me or see what I do, those are the two best places.
Okay, so the Facebook group, Painless Flipping, and then the YouTube channel.
Nathan Payne.
Great.
Or Painless Flipping. It's the same thing. You'll find it.
Perfect. Well, Nathan, appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me, man.
My guest today was Nathan Payne. If you'd like to learn more or get in contact with Nathan, check out his YouTube channel or Facebook group. Just type in Painless Flipping. That's Payneless Flipping. All the links are in the show notes. Well, that wraps up this episode of Utah Hustlers. If you like this episode, if it brought you value, consider sharing it with a friend or family member that could use this to build their business. And as always, it's not just about knowing what to do, it's about taking the required action. Until next time, keep building. Hey, if you are a listener to Utah Hustlers and are just working on getting your business off the ground and need more customers, I would like to help by advertising your business on this podcast for free. I get that new businesses don't have a lot of money to spend on advertising, and my true mission is to help you achieve success, happiness, and freedom. And so I'm going to take a handful of entrepreneurs and let the thousands of listeners know who they are and what they do. So if that is you, reach out to me on Instagram and tell me about your business. And by the way, this offer is only going out for a short while on the podcast. So once again, if you're trying to build your clientele, if you're trying to just get off the ground, I would like to help you for free by advertising your business on this show. And to do that, reach out to me on Instagram at Skylar Beitendorp. I'll have a link in the show notes.